Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. You have recently heard messages about keep your head in the mandir, but your body in the market. Don't be stuck in the mandir. Take that feeling to the market. Another way this has been shared is keep your head in the forest and your body in the city. Almost all of us live in cities. But what should we be thinking about? The quietude of the forest. A Sanskrit word for forest is aranya. Aranya is where there is no rana. Tell me what rana means in English. Rana, right? No running. No fighting. A rana means a war, a battle, a fight. So what should be happening in your head? Peace. Where you're not fighting with yourself. Meaningful mornings is an opportunity to expose ourselves to having a quiet mind, to having a peaceful personality. This is us living in the aranya. This is what it means to be a vanaprastha. One who lives in the vana is one who is rising above likes and dislikes, above deservership and doership. When I chant Om at the beginning, I keep my eyes open in case I forget what to chant. And also to see all of you. It makes me so happy to see so many people live, so many people through Instagram. On Facebook, record numbers are joining. This is our aranya. We are living together in the forest. Bhagavad Gita's chapter 12, Bhakti Yoga. To unite with devotion. What does devotion look like? Sing, seek, support, serve. All of these practices lead to the finality of bhakti, which is surrender. Surrender is not a poetic expression, it is logical. By show of hands, how many of you feel like you are created? Okay, those who don't have their hands up, Balavihara class happens on Wednesday nights, okay? We all feel like we're created. So logically, if I'm created, there has to be a creator. In the Upanishad, the language is, if there is the seen, that's with an N, I see my hand, I see my thoughts, then there has to be a seer with an R. The created depends on the creator, the seen depends on the seer. The language that Sri Krishna is using in this chapter, in chapter 11, see that you live in me. In chapter 12, then logically, you should be living for me. In that clarity should trigger for the conviction to live for Sri Krishna. Living for Sri Krishna is not a karma, it is a bhava. Not an action, but the attitude that backs all actions. Vivek teaching, Bhagavad Gita's chapter 12, today verse 11, if I feel that this is bhakti, but inside I am so anxious or I'm so arrogant, this is not bhakti then, because the bhava is not one of devotion. If I call Roto-Rooter to clean out a clogged toilet, but I'm doing this with the bhava that this is to facilitate responsibilities, then that's bhakti. Clear? That's why I keep sharing that sannyasa, we've made a karma when it's actually a bhava. All of us can practice renunciation. What does it mean? Depend on Sri Krishna. I'm reading an insight from Pujya Swami from Pujya Swami Chinmayananda. This happens because after the birth of a child, all actions and experiences of the parent are influenced by, and I love this term, background memory of the child, i.e., an unconscious spirit of dedication towards them. If you are clear that you're living in Sri Krishna, if you're clear that Sri Krishna is living for you, then your background memory should be of, I need to reciprocate. I need to live for Sri Krishna. All of this is shared until verse 8. In verse 9, Sri Krishna senses in Prince Arjuna a reluctance, not outwardly, but inwardly. And so Sri Krishna shares, practice. If you can't surrender to me, practice surrendering to me. This is our aranya. This is also our ashram. Ashram is where you put in the most effort. You apply yourself in an extraordinary way. Shri Krishna still senses this reluctance. This reluctance is really Prince Arjuna not having enough faith in himself. That's everyone's story, correct? As this is being shared, how can I surrender to Shri Krishna? The part of it I really am trying to hammer out, it is not an action. You selling computer parts can be bhakti. We tend to think that being in medicine is the only way to serve society. Everything can be a service to Sri Krishna. It is an attitude. In verse 10, Sri Krishna shares, if you can't practice surrendering, then start with practicing surrendering your actions. If you can't do this comprehensively, dissect this and do this with your actions. Soon we will chant, Prabhu Mudrika Meli Mukhamahi. To have the remembrance of Bhagavan Rama in one's mouth. What happens after that? Jaladi langi gai achara janahi. No wonder you were able to come back from your responsibility quickly. If we feel our actions are for him, watch how efficient and effective you become. You won't even be able to recognize you. One more insight from Pujya Swami Chinmayananda before we get to verse 11. Those who are very orthodox in thinking are feeling Sri Krishna is really making this too practical. Imagine someone said that. You're making people, giving them an opportunity to be happy too easily. That would be an awful personality. Gurudev has written, the orthodox are always suspicious of an unorthodox declaration, even if it be made by the greatest living man of the era, or even by a divine manifestation. Who's teaching? Sri Krishna is teaching. If he's sharing surrender, practice surrendering actions, do not feel this is diluted. He knows the way to himself. Verse 11. Ate tad apyashaktosi kartum madyogamashritah sarva karma palatyagam tatakuru yatatmavan. Joy. Atha, Sri Krishna is giving a sequence, and now he's sharing if etad api ashaktaha, what has been shared, still incapable, asi. See, the word asi is coming. Kartum, you are not able to do. This is your translation. If you are not able to engage in what is shared in verse 8, that is surrender. Verse 9, practice surrendering. Verse 10, practice surrendering actions if you're not able to do this. Second quarter, mat yogam ashritaha. Ashritaha means to find solace, to depend on. Yogam, this path. Where does this path lead to? Mat. It's come from Sri Krishna, so it will lead back to Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna is sharing generally here how we are to practice Bhakti Yoga next. He will share in more clarity in the third and then fourth quarter. But I want to pick up on this word yogam. In chapters 10 and 11, we had learned Krishna is the icon of infinity. What comes from Krishna is yoga, and that means unity. That was chapter 11, correct? And what comes from yoga is vibhuti. And that in English is diversity. That was chapter 10. So Shri Krishna is calling us back from yoga, that's chapter 11, to mat, that is chapter 12. I'll share a lovely insight about how you know how knowledgeable you are based on your vision. And Rajasic knowledge is when you're focused on diversity. Sattvic knowledge is when you're focused on unity. And what's beyond that? Where your knowledge is one of awareness. There's not even the acknowledgement of duality or two-ness. Okay. Shri Krishna zooms in. Sarva karma phala tyagam. If you can't practice surrendering actions, then practice surrendering results. What your actions create, surrender that. The implication of this, again, please remember that this is an attitude. It's not, Vivek, later on I'm speaking at a college. Suppose they give me a certificate. Then I say, no, I'm going to go to the altar and leave it there. In front of everyone, I'm going to do that. They won't understand that. The implication here is not to depend on results, not to insist on a certain outcome. I'd shared in a recent course, what happens is something happens and we label it and then become unhappy because of that. Now it's raining outside. It's raining, period. But if I label this, rain is uncomfortable, then how am I going to feel? Obviously, I'm not going to feel pleasant or peaceful then. And Shri Krishna zooms in more. Tataha kuru yatatmavan. You will be able to practice surrendering results yatatmavan if you are disciplined. More so if you are focused. If Vivek is living for results, I'm going to feel anxious. And if I'm focused on how to create those results, I will be engaged then. Remember eco, engage. It is through such focus that karma becomes opportunity. And all you have to do is take an insight and practice that. Knowledge changes our vision. Think lots of that. I wish I had more time to elaborate on this. You please reflect on this. From inspiration to application, your application was to chant Krishnaya iti samarpayami. At the beginning, in the middle, and at the end of all verbs. How many of you tried this? I bet you everything that came out of your mouth yesterday was sweeter. Krishnaya iti samarpayami. Imagine there's a person there, and I'm saying Krishnaya iti samarpayami, idiot. That's not going to happen, correct? After I say these words, I'm not going to say that word then. In our rituals, there's one saying, idam namama. This Saturday, I'm facilitating Swati and Sumanji's Vivaha. So I'm prepping for this ritual. And one of these sayings is idam namama, which means idam, this, na, not, mama, mine. I really like this. So that's your application today. Yesterday was Krishnaya iti samarpayami. Today is idam namama. When someone says, are you Gita? Are you Sudarshan? You say idam namama. That's someone else's name, not mine. Shanti, shanti, shanti. Be safe, be sound, be serene, be joy.